So my first question for you regards in entrepreneurs in general, but again, this can be read by women.
Mhm.
What of all the entrepreneurs that you've encountered are kind of standout qualities that you think makes a successful entrepreneur that's going to make it above all the rest?
Mhm. I think what defines an entrepreneur as to how they do well or don't do well comes down to one thing: how well they handle obstacles and objections.
Okay.
Because I have seen many, many women and men starting businesses that fail miserably. They have the passion in their belly, they believe in their idea, they're willing to work like crazy to make it happen, but they really have a hard time when they hit a wall getting over it and just having that determination that no matter what, I'm going to find a way over that wall. So when I
Right.
size up entrepreneurs, I'm always looking for that unique quality, and believe me, it's unique. I would say 1 in 30 people in business for themselves succeed, and the reason for that is they have that unique quality, the ability to
Mhm.
take a no and pop back up and say, hey, hit me again, and arrive again at trying all over again.
Okay. So I guess along that same line, I hear that you have a list of not to do's. What's that all about?
Well, not to do's, it sounds like a ridiculous way to approach business, but what at least it does is give you a heads up as to what you should avoid doing. Like, one, for example, is spending time on menial tasks that will have nothing to do with whether you build a successful business, but you feel really good because you're busy at your desk doing things. So, for example, you should have a postage system at your desk, in fact, an electronic shipping and mailing solution at your desk, like Dymo and Disha, because the reason for that is, why would you dare spend any time going to the post office and bringing your mail there when it can be picked up and you can virtually turn your computer into your own post office? So things like this save young entrepreneurs time, and of course the time is the money, and it allows them then to spend their time on more important tasks.
Right. So busy isn't necessarily effective.
Busy sure feels good, let me tell you, especially when you have nothing important going on. If you can stay busy, you think you're in business, but what you're really doing is you're busy enough to send yourself right out of business.
Okay. So in the line of women, what advice would you give to either an existing woman business owner or an aspiring one, worrying about today's economy? They're reading all these horrible headlines. You talk about this, unique quality of being able to kind of pop back up in adversity. So how would you
Couple of
guide women
things.
specifically right
Couple of
now?
things. Number one, discontinue reading the papers and watching the bad news on TV. I do it regularly because you know what? It has a way of getting into your skin and affecting your mental outlook on life. So just cut off the paper deliveries to begin with. The second thing is, just don't even entertain the fact that there is something negative or something is stacked against you, because that headset alone you've already half surrendered. And you know what women have over men? And I can tell you this because I have many female partners in all different lines of businesses. They are smarter than men in business. And you know why they're smarter? Because they're better with people. And if you think that business has anything to do with dollars and cents, in the end, you've got to, of course, cover your overhead and make sense of your business. But the truth is, what you really have to do is you have to be really savvy with making the customer happy, figuring out what they want, how to retool your business to suit the customer. And women, I'm telling you, have a much better intuition on people than men do by their very nature. I know I'm not supposed to say that, but that's the truth.
So along that vein, any thoughts on where you would advise, again, in this economy, a woman business owner to look for funding options, including maybe any thoughts about like being a certified woman-owned business, any benefits, cons?
Well, of course, most women and most men, when starting the business, get the money from family and friends and their own savings. That is still very much the case. But what women forget often is they are a minority in the federal government's eye, and certainly there's many, many programs there that you could take advantage of as a minority-owned business, and you can get funding when other people cannot. So the idea here is to think there's got to be something out there, and I can find it, and what card can I use to my advantage? And a great card is that female card, and heck, why not use it?
Mm-hmm. All right, perfect. So kind of shifting a little towards your personal experience, on all the things that you've done, successes and failures throughout your business career, what would you say the greatest learnings have been, either good or bad?
I would say the most important thing I learned that then I used to build a powerhouse business over the many years I learned early, which is I learned that there's lots of free press out there. And if you don't have the money for advertising, you're a little guy, you might think that you can't compete with the big guys. But let me tell you, the big guys have the corner on money, the little guys got the corner on creativity. And so if you don't have money, say, for example, advertising, certainly immediately when your business is young, start publishing an industry report. Now that sounds wacky, but I published my first one in the real estate business when I had 11 sales and based an industry average on 11 sales, and I appeared on the front page of the New York Times as the expert in my industry. And I had no business being there, but at least I had the chutzpah to get a report out there saying who the customer was, who bought, one was a banker, one was an attorney, blah, 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 what the price was, and simply averaging out the numbers. And you know why it worked? Because the big guys have attorneys and accountants advising them not to do it, whereas a little guy could run with a creative idea, get it out in the marketplace. And you know what? I was constantly quoted in the press, constantly as the expert, while my big competitors rolled over and moaned and groaned. But what you have as a little guy is a corner on creativity, and you should never lose sight of that. I didn't, and that's how I built a giant brand and was able to sell my business for $66 million. It wasn't because I had the buying power, but because I capitalized on my creativity.
Perfect. So along that vein, my next question, how'd you get into the whole world of TV?
TV was by design. What I knew I wanted once I sold my first business is I knew I wanted something where I could be creative again, where I could use my God-given strength of having an idea a minute and apply it to something. So I felt if I could be an entrepreneur expert on TV, which I certainly am with the Shark Tank and buying businesses every day and now running the businesses, but what I really wanted to do is I wanted to get a large platform to be heard where I could make a difference. And let me tell you, that is the great satisfaction of being on TV. A lot of eyeballs watch you. People are listening, and so if you have something worthwhile to say, you really feel like you can make a difference in life. And so for me, that was my goal, my God, and I can't tell you it was easy getting there at my age because it's a young people's business, but there's no replacement for sheer determination when it comes to building any kind of a business.
All right, perfect. So what is your latest goal?
What is my latest goal? To help as many people as I possibly can. And for the young entrepreneur who's starting that business at home or is wasting time, just please remember that they should be going on Indisha.com and at least stop going to the post office and get it off your desk.
All right. So last question. So this is just for working moms. I understand you're a mother yourself.
Yes, I am.
What are your kind of reflections on that in terms of if you are talking to a working mom who's trying to build a brand from home while raising two kids, what should she be doing or not doing?
I think what I learned through trial and error was that you can't be in two places. So I learned to build a dividing wall between my kids and the rest of my business life and never cross it. So when I was focused on my business, I was there 150%. With my kids, no cell phone, no email, 150%. And by having that wall between, I found that I was able to do both very well. But by the way, there's no such thing as balance, in case anybody's chasing that one. But you can make it happen if you hyper-focus on each compartment of your life, because you know what? They're both very important if you want to succeed, and you have to learn to separate them.
Excellent. Perfect advice. So on that note, I think that's all my questions for you, and I absolutely appreciate your time. I know you have a big morning.
Don't forget Indisha.com. Come on, they're sponsoring this thing.
We got it.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Barbara.
My pleasure.